Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Beauty Connective podcast, where beauty professionals connect, grow, and get real. I'm Kylie, your host, and today I'm sitting down with Alyssa Freeman. She's a master esthetician and acne specialist here in Utah, running a very successful business. I'm so excited to sit down and talk to her about it. Let's get to it. Thanks so much for being here.
Yes, I'm so excited. Thank you for asking me.
Yes, I'm so excited to chat with you. You're the first esthetician that we're having on the podcast.
I'm so excited. It's an honor. First two were nail techs.
Yes.
Now I'm the first estie. It's going to be so exciting. A little bit different.
Yes, I know. I'm excited to switch it up because we want to include everybody and get the whole perspective of business in different sectors of the beauty world.
Totally. And the beauty industry is huge here. So there's so many different things like hair, nails, aesthetics, waxing. So we're going to dive into so many fun things today that we haven't got to talk about yet.
I'm so excited. You're a master esthetician and acne expert.
Yes.
And the reason I know you is because I'm your client.
Yes.
I found you on Instagram and you've been such a game changer for me personally.
So nice.
Earlier this year, well, actually, rewind. I've always struggled with acne since I was a teenager, and I did Accutane like in my early 20s, and even still in my 30s, I'm dealing with acne. And so earlier this year, I'm like scrolling on TikTok. I'm, coming across every person that you can imagine on the skincare side of TikTok. And there's so much information out there and so many different products and so many different things that you can use. In fact, I found this one girl who had this, magical serum to use on your face. And I was like, I'm going to do this. Her skin looks amazing. That looks so great. Tried it. I bought everything. I put together this like elixir that she, promised is amazing. Started using it. It was terrible. I completely broke out. It was a nightmare. And I just felt so lost being on that side of social media because everyone has so many opinions. Everyone's skin is so different. I was finally like, I just need somebody who can tell me exactly what to do with my skin, like specifically for my skin. And that's when I found you earlier this year. And for, I don't know, how long have I been coming? 4 or 5 months?
4 or 5, yeah.
And my skin is doing so much better.
It looks so good.
Than it was before. And I'm so happy because you just knew what to do. You knew what products I needed. You gave me a skincare regimen. You were so encouraging and this is what you have to do. You have to stick through it. It's not going to be great at first. Your skin's going to be purging. You set up the expectations for me to know what to do and how to see results. And it's been so amazing. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for trusting me. I know it's a huge thing looking for a different esthetician to help you because I've been in the same spot before where I've been in the Ulta skincare aisle just looking at every single product, knowing which ingredient is right for my skincare concern and what do I pick. It's so overwhelming and you feel like you're just searching, looking different ingredients up, but skincare is not a one size fits all. So same thing with how you tried something on TikTok, that worked for that girl that used it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will work for you. So I'm so glad that you put your trust in me because I know it takes a lot. You feel like you've spent thousands of dollars sometimes on skincare items that just have kind of been not the right fit for you. And that's the hardest thing is that you feel like you just want to give up. So thank you for putting your trust in me.
Yes.
That's so sweet.
Of course. And you're right. It is expensive. And I was finally to the point where I would give up my firstborn child to have clear skin.
Right. Yes. It's such a game changer in your confidence. And you never realize until your skin has cleared that you just feel a different way when you walk in a room or when you talk to people. So
it's so true. If someone has never dealt with cystic acne or just bad breakouts, you never know how much it kills your confidence.
Yeah.
You don't want to wear makeup. It just feels so terrible. And the difference is insane.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to make that your niche, skincare?
Okay. I have always been my own business owner since high school when I could really get a job. I started out taking pictures for different brands that had apparel drops. I was doing family photos, church mission photos, and I really loved the idea of getting to choose my own hours, choose who I work with. And so after I graduated high school, I moved from California to Utah, and I was still doing photography, still taking pictures for different brands. I got my lashes done, like everyone here in Utah has done at least once. We've all got lash extensions usually. And I was talking to my lash artist and she was like, I think you would be really good at this. You love being your own business owner. owner, and you get to choose your own hours, you know. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make the jump and go to esthetician school for lashes. I cannot do lashes to save my life. It is the most tedious thing ever. Like, I have respect for you for doing nails with the designs and everything, because you have to be, you know, so careful on how you do things. I cannot sit still like that to save my life. So when we got to the lash course, I was like, crap, this is what I came here for, and I'm not good at it. And I didn't even pass the certification test. So I graduated without passing that test, but I did end up doing a ton of facials. So when you go to esthetician school, you get to go to the spa and take real clients. I had ended up taking, I think, 180 to 200 facials while I was in the spa. So I really just grew a love and a passion for facials, not necessarily for acne at the time, but just for making people feel beautiful. So I feel like that kind of connected when I was doing photography. Same with facials. I just wanted to make people feel beautiful. And it wasn't until I had my first acne client, shout out to Devin, I met her at Dutch Bros. She just totally put her trust in me, and she's like, I'm going to try this. And as we went, she started, you know, her skin started clearing, and I really felt that connection between my client. And it's a really emotional thing sometimes too, because your client really doesn't feel confident when they come to you, and they want to hide their face, they want to put on a bunch of makeup. And I just love making people feel beautiful and confident, and like they can finally go out into the world without makeup. And so after I got my first before and after, my transformation, that was my aha moment of, I love treating acne and I want to do this like as my job. Because before I was doing fluffy facials with arm massages and things like that, and my room was very dim, which now you see my new suite, and it's very bright and it's very corrective, the treatments that I do. I love correcting maybe like scarring and acne and fine lines and wrinkles and pigment. So that's really my aha moment when I had that first before and after, that I realized I don't want to do fluffy facials. This is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. So why do estheticians like have to niche down when they're building their own business?
Yeah. So with esthetician school, there's so many things that we learn. And when you have a menu as a service provider and you're doing so many different things, it's hard to be the best at one thing. So I find that instead of being someone for everybody, you can be the go-to for one certain thing, and that will really make you a lot more skilled in your practice. So I have been getting a lot more acne clients because I really offer like 5 services. And so I've been getting a lot more referrals of acne clients because that is something that I niche in. So I think that's why it's important, because you can't be for everybody. And then once you realize that you're for one type of client or maybe 2 types of skin concerns, then you'll get so many more clients of something that you're passionate about.
I kind of wonder if getting out of esthetician school, brand new estheticians think, I have to offer everything. That's how I'll attract the most clients. But it seems like that's not the case.
No, it is so much better, even as a customer, to go to somebody that niches in one thing, because then they're so skilled at it. And you know that they have the confidence, they've seen everything under the sun with that concern. It's hard sometimes because you want to be for everyone. And even if you wanted to do a lash lift and you weren't that good at it, sometimes you're like, oh, it's an extra, $50 that I can make. But unless you're really passionate about your work, I wouldn't suggest offering everything.
And no one wants to be doing stuff that they don't enjoy. I think that's the point of being in the beauty industry, having the things that you're really passionate about and only doing that.
Totally.
So much more fun.
Yes.
I remember having that same feeling, like, I want to grow clientele. I want to do it quickly. I have to be offering acrylics and everything else. But acrylics was not my vibe. I hated it.
Right. And you never want to turn down everybody, right? Because you want to take everyone. You want everyone to come in, but it doesn't always match up. And I think that's something that helped my business grow a lot, is I realized that I can pick my clientele and I want their values and goals to match what I can provide for them. So I realized that it's important for me to find a clientele that was willing to take a little bit longer to clear their acne in a holistic, ethical way. No harsh topicals, no Accutane, because that's just not my route. And I am skilled and educated in clearing things holistically, because that's what I know. Right. And so I can't help somebody that's saying, oh, I want to clear my acne in a month, because that's just not realistic. Mm-hmm. So
what would you attribute building your clientele to, besides niching down and finding what you really are good at and what you want to focus on? what else helped you build a solid clientele?
I would say referrals are a huge one. I know a lot of people use social media, and I think that's super great. I put a lot of my evidence on social media of before and afters, but I think that referrals, especially with acne, because if you help somebody change their confidence drastically, then they're going to go tell their coworkers and their friends, and their coworkers and friends are going to notice too when they're looking a lot different than they were before. They're like, oh my gosh, your skin has changed so much. What are you doing? So mainly with me, referrals has been my biggest thing, and word of mouth. But I'm excited to hop on the Beauty Connective too and have that as another line of referrals and how I get clients too.
Totally.
So yeah.
Yeah. Having your before and afters on your page was huge for me as a potential client, because that was what I was like, oh my gosh, this is working for a lot of people. And also someone I knew had shared you on Instagram. Yeah. That was a huge turn on for me as a client. I was like, oh, someone I know likes her.
Right.
And her page looks super professional and she's having great results.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Having people that can connect about your work helps a ton. I'm sure that you have clients that have referred other clients because your structure is amazing and your prep work for your nails is amazing. And that really helps. The whole outcome of your nails is the prep work, I'm sure. And so, yeah, just having those referrals and people's personal experience and them sharing it with their friends and family has helped me a ton.
Yeah. And the experience of going to you is so great. I want to know how you have curated that experience for your clients to help retain them, make them want to come back.
Yeah. So this is something that I've designed more recently as I moved into my new space, was making sure that everything was in line so it could make a perfect client experience. So that starts with your website. How easy is it for people to go on and book with you? And then right after they book, I send out an intake form that goes through everything, any allergies, your past history, if you've been on Accutane, things down to what makeup that you're using during the day, tanning beds, things like that. So really a thorough intake form has helped a lot because it shows my clients that I care and that I want to learn as much about you as I can to make sure that I am giving you the right tools and advice for your certain skin concern. So then I'm also more prepared as a service provider. When they come in, I already have some history about them, and that shows that I care, that I'm listening, and that I want my clients to feel understood. So yeah, then they come in for their consultation, and I've already got to know a little bit about their skin just with the intake form, so that helps a ton. And then we go through and just talk about their skin, and I make sure that I completely understand what they've been going through. I'm taking notes. Make sure that I'm repeating things back to them so they know I heard what they've said. And then during the treatment, I'm always checking in with them. Client comfort is going to be a huge thing. I'm sure with nails too, going under the UV light, right? You want to make sure that their nails aren't burning, anything like that. Same with skin. I want to make sure client comfortability is always going to be a top priority for me. And then after they leave the treatment room, I always want them to know I'm here for you any time of day. So following up with them as well after their peels. How much did you peel? How are we feeling about it? When clients first come in, I always like to be transparent that there might be a purging process, like you and I talked about when you first came in. So sometimes when you start a new routine, the things that were underneath the top layer of the skin are going to come up really quickly because we're using new products to really target that concern. And so I have to be transparent with my clients so they don't think I just gave them a whole routine and they got home, they use it, and now they're breaking out even more, right? So setting client expectations is a huge thing for me. I love being transparent with my clients. And then when they leave, I like to make sure that they're set up with PDFs, documents, all these different things. I send them their routine so they have everything to refer back to on their phone. I spill a lot of information during my client consultations, so I make sure to say, if you don't remember anything that I've said, that's okay. I'm going to send you everything, because it's super overwhelming for a new client to come in and learn all the science behind everything and why this is right for them. So I just make sure that they're really set up for success and they're confident that they can really tackle this and do their skincare routine and make sure that they're changing their lifestyle adjustments accordingly to what we talked about. So really just setting them up and making sure that they can contact me at any time that they need to.
I love that that whole process was set up so intentionally by you, because it felt that way as a client. Like coming in, I had already filled out the questionnaire and it made you really stand out as an expert and like knowing exactly what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, she knows, I can trust her, and making that whole experience flow. But you are taking in so much information, you're like, oh, I'm not going to remember all this.
Yeah.
And then going home and having that support. You were always super supportive and like, text me whatever you need, text me how it's going, how you're feeling, like what's happening, send me pictures.
Yes.
Like, so that was always so helpful. It's really cool to know that that was all very intentionally set up by you as the business owner.
Thank you. And I always like to tell my clients what's the difference between me and a dermatologist, because a lot of my clients have had a history with going to the dermatologist, going on Accutane, harsh topicals, and usually the dermatologist can just look at your skin and say, you need Accutane. They don't really ask you past questions. They kind of just want to give it to you and then out the door. But I love connecting with my clients. And I think that is something that can set apart your experience with an esthetician versus a dermatologist or whoever else you go to, is that they're going to be there for that 24/7 support. That's personally how I do it. I know a lot of other people like to text during certain hours, but I feel that I set myself apart from other service providers in that way. I have a little blue emoji next to all of my clients' names. So whenever I see a blue emoji on my screen, I'm like, okay, text them back, because it might be a question like, my skin isn't reacting well to this, or things with inflammatory foods, because I go over a lot of diet things with my clients too. So they go, can I eat this? Is this okay? I want to get this protein mix. Is this okay? So just making sure that I am providing that 24/7 support for them is something that I think gives a different experience than a lot of other places.
Mm-hmm. And I've never been to another master esthetician, so I feel like I don't have anyone else to compare you to, but now I would be scared to go to somebody else. But for like recently graduated estheticians who want to dive into the SD world and be their own business owner, what's maybe the biggest thing that you would advise them?
Don't wait. Even if you feel like you don't have any material or you're not equipped with the knowledge because you feel like you didn't get the full experience in school, do not wait. I think waiting is the biggest trap in our industry, especially here in Utah, because there are so many estheticians, so many nail techs. The beauty industry, I think, is like second biggest in the state of Utah than anywhere else. And so it's always growing. That being said, you want to get your foot in the door sooner than later. So I think just posting about anything, even if it's ingredients, you don't have to post before and afters. You can post, come with me to a training, or like behind the scenes of setting up my treatment room, or a day in the life of esthetician school. I love seeing esthetician students posting those kind of things, because I think your Instagram is kind of a portfolio in that way, and people can see your first facial and to your latest facial. When I was first doing jelly masks in esthetician school, I had no idea what I was doing, and it's honestly so fun, even as the esthetician, to go back and look at my old work and see how much I've improved. It's so fun. So I think, yeah, don't wait. You can get creative even if you don't have a big before and after, even if you don't have a machine, even if you don't have the equipment, even if you don't have a suite or a space, there is always something to record. So
that's huge, because I feel like that's a big hurdle keeping people from, in the nail world or esthetician or hair or whatever it is, just feeling like you have to be perfect or have this certain presence before you can be legit.
Yes.
Or people can trust you. So that's amazing. Just starting earlier than you think you should.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like we all think, once I get this machine or once I get this product line, then I can post about it. But you're missing so many opportunities posting about other things, and you're missing out on time to be creative. And that's the coolest part of our job, is getting to be super creative and like come up with a bunch of reels and memes and graphics and things like that is totally fun. And also practice speaking in front of a camera as well, because then when you get to, okay, you have a clientele and you want to make stories and spread information, it can be hard talking to the camera at first. Did you experience that same thing?
Oh my gosh, totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like in your head, it's a different idea. And then when you pull out the phone, it's a complete shock factor. And you're like, oh no, this is scary. So I think practicing those things, so when the time comes, you're just ready to go out there and do your thing.
And no one wants to see themselves on camera
No.
or hear their voice.
No.
Yeah. But I will say it gets easier and you get used to it. In
Yeah.
fact, someone recently was asking me, like, have you gotten used to hearing yourself on camera yet? And I'm like, actually, I totally have. I feel like I know exactly what my voice sounds like now on camera and on audio. And now I hear it and I'm like, oh, that's me.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like cringy. Like, I feel like it does at first.
And we're also hard on ourselves with the cringe and things like that, but also embrace the cringe. It's going to get you places, because people who are too scared to embrace the cringe are never going to experience that growth that these videos and content could have brought in them. So yeah, never waiting and just starting now, finding content to make out of anything. Like, you could go to Target and pick out acne safe skincare supplements, acne safe toothpaste, laundry detergent, and that's just in Target, right? So you can do a ton of different things without having the equipment or suite or space.
What I've learned over time is just that confidence and exuding confidence will take you so far, even if you're a beginner, or even if you're brand new at something or just starting out with something. There's no reason that you shouldn't have confidence, and it will put off an image that people will be attracted to.
Yes, yeah.
If it's not even real confidence, just act
pretend
like it is.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that.
And we're always so much harder on ourselves than we need to be. So, and it's fun, and this industry is supposed to be fun. So
yeah, so much fun. And being your own boss is so fun. And being in control of what you're doing and your schedule and everything that you're doing is so cool. And I think so worth it for the other extra things that come with it.
yeah.
And let's talk about some of those things, because setting boundaries with clients and having policies in place, things like that, is a big part of the job, and sometimes part of the scary part of the job. How do you navigate some of those things?
So my biggest piece of advice is to always implement those policies from the beginning, because if you don't implement them from the beginning, your clients that were with you from the start are not going to like these new policies. So I think always holding your business to these certain standards will help you and your client. Like I said, I don't have a ton of boundaries when it comes to texting. Like, I was texting my client last night about a spot treatment at 10 p.m. and I was like, yeah, that's okay. I want to help you right now. So, but I think for being late and same day cancellations and rescheduling, I think that that's when it comes into place with your intake form and your consent form, that it's super important to have your clients acknowledge your policies so things can just go smoother for you and the client. I never like to charge people when they don't show up or when it's the same day cancellation. But I think that if you kind of set those expectations first appointment, I didn't really talk to you about those expectations because service provider to service provider, you know. And so I think just really setting those expectations first appointment, and you don't have to be mean when you're setting them, you know, because we always feel like we're being mean when we're charging people for not being on time, but really just setting them kindly from the get-go, saying these policies are for you and me, and just to make sure that we're both on time for the appointment is going to help us, you know, succeed together. And so really making sure that your client knows that it's so you guys can work together and succeed together. I think it comes a lot easier than thinking, oh, I'm being so mean doing this, or I'm being super harsh, because us service providers are scared to charge the no-show. Like, you guys, we're scared. But also, if you don't come that day, that is an appointment that somebody else could have taken. So as hard as it is, that's just what it comes down to. So I think being super transparent about policies first appointment, and then making sure that they acknowledge it by signing the form. And then, I think that's my favorite way to set boundaries. But I always try to give people grace too, especially if they're sick all of a sudden and they're never sick, and I know they're a super honest person, then I let those things slide. How do you feel about that? Do you give them like that grace, or what do you feel about that?
Totally. I always want to be understanding. I know that life happens, of course. It does get frustrating. It's one of the cons of being an independent service provider, is that if your clients aren't showing up or are canceling last minute, you're just out that money. You're not getting paid to still be there. You're not getting paid by the hour. And if you happen to have a week where 5 clients no show, like, you're out several $100s, and that sucks. And so having those protections in place so that people know that their appointments are important and they should show up for them. They're hard to reschedule. It's hard to get back in, you know, right away if they're canceling. And so having those things in place, but it is hard. It's always hard to charge people. In fact, and you don't want to sound mean when you do it,
Right.
but like you are maybe annoyed because you're like, oh, man, I'm like out this money.
Yes.
And so, but you want it to sound good. I will just take to ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is our saving grace these days.
I'll be like, hey,
how do I
Chat.
say this in a really kind way without making them feel like I'm harassing them?
But I still want to enforce my policy.
Yes.
Yeah. Chat always comes through for me.
Yes. Yeah. And also just remembering to treat your clients like gold too, because at the end of the day, yes, you are helping them, but they're also like helping you build your career by supporting you.
They're the reason that you have your
clientele.
dream job.
Yeah, totally. And like you said, people are human. I remind my clients of that all the time, even when they pick their skin. Like, you are human. It's okay. You popped a zit. Like, I've done that before too. Let's just try to find out like the root cause, right? So just remembering that your clients are human, and also trying to take the emotion out of being a business owner is something I've been implementing into my business lately. This sounds kind of silly, but I am trying to be more in the mindset of I'm an employee at my own business than I am the owner of my business. Because like you said, if there's a week when you get 5 cancellations, and that does happen, you guys, like sometimes something's in the air and then all of a sudden all these people start canceling and you feel like things are coming down on you, you could get pretty emotional and then feel like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. Why are people canceling on me? I think it's super important to remember it's usually not about you and it's not a personal thing. Life happens, and to just treat them with respect still. And just remember to take the emotion out of it, because you at the end of the day are just working for your business. And if you're less emotional about it, I promise things will start to go better, because then you're not like super attached to that, and you can handle conversation a lot easier when you just realize I'm working for the business, you know?
I like that, because it is such a personal industry.
Yes.
You're building connections and friendships with your clients, which is so cool. Such a cool part about the beauty industry, but also you do want to enforce those boundaries and keep it professional and everything too.
Especially when you're the only one at the business. Like you and I, we don't have employees or anything like that. So that's why I feel like it can tend to get a little bit more personal and emotional when you get a cancellation. You're like, oh, did I do something? Or is that about me? Did they not want to come back? But most of the time they want to come back. They want to get their nails done. They want to get a facial, but life happens, like we said, and it doesn't always work out that way. So just to remember to be kind to yourself, even when people cancel on you, because you can take it pretty hard sometimes.
It's true. You're like, did I say
something?
Was I weird?
Back? Yes, yes. So yeah, just remembering to not be so emotional about it is something that's helped me a ton lately.
Great advice. For recently graduated estheticians who might be afraid to jump into the business world side of aesthetics or the beauty industry, what would you tell them at that point in their career?
So, I mean, fear never got anyone anywhere, right? We have to go in and do things, even if we're scared. I used to instruct at an esthetician school in Provo, Utah, and there's a start date every single month at almost every esthetician school here in Utah. And so if you think about a new start date every month, how many estheticians are filtering into this industry are a ton. So really just jumping in head first from the start and figuring out your brand and your niche and your policies, your guidelines. Even if you feel like you don't have any clients to serve, I think starting out before you're even booked, before you get your first booking, is going to help you, because sometimes things happen fast and then all of a sudden you're booked, you have all these clients. Oh no, I didn't take my time to go through a website and design one, or to make sure my consent form was thorough and that I'm hitting every note that I need to. Doing the things when you're not booked to get you set up for when you are booked, because things happen quickly. And like I said before too, so many estheticians start every month that waiting, I think, is the thing that can hurt you the most.
And there's no reason why you can't do it. There's no reason. There's nothing keeping you from being successful than somebody else.
Totally. Honestly, the only thing that keeps you from being successful sometimes is yourself. And so really just getting past those hurdles, I think, are going to help you succeed, and believing in yourself too. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then who else is going to believe in you, right? And you will believe in yourself to the point where you get delusional about things, and to the point where sometimes you have no social life anymore and your friends are like, wow, all she's doing is working. That's how you know you've really hit that delusional point within the business. But yeah, just doing things when you're not booked that you will need to get done when you are booked, I think is my piece of advice to anyone who's in esthetician school. And even though you're not taking clients, you can still start your website. You know, building a website, oh my gosh, it takes forever.
It takes forever. Start now, get it done.
Yes, and that's the thing about being a business owner is that I started my business because I wanted to do facials, but now all of a sudden I'm some social media girl and I'm doing, you know, taxes and all of the behind the scenes things like that. So it does become overwhelming. So yeah, start now because you're about to be 10 different jobs, even though you only signed up for one. So
You thought that you were just going to be doing facials all day.
No.
Nope.
No.
So much more to it than
Yes.
that. It's so true. Because all of a sudden you're a business owner. And do they teach about that at all in esthetician school?
No. And I wish they would. Just like I wish in high school they would teach us a little bit more about, you know, applying for a loan or like taxes and things like that. So yeah, just I think doing continued education too is super huge because you're not going to learn everything that you wish that you would have in aesthetic school. I'm sure same thing with like a nail apprenticeship. Maybe you wanted to dabble in something else that teacher wasn't offering. So that's when these trade shows and continued education come in. That's where I learned most of all of my knowledge. Everything that I know is from self-taught continued education because in aesthetic school, we're learning so many things that we don't have time to really niche down into one subject. So I didn't learn a ton about acne in school. I didn't even know how to do an extraction when I was in school. But yeah, you get there when you really focus on what you want to learn, you can find the right education and dive right in.
Invest in education.
Yes.
Invest in your business up front.
Yes.
Invest in yourself.
Yes, yeah. And it sounds scary to invest in it because what if something doesn't come out of it? But I think that you can get anything out of education, right? It's just really what you put into it. And even if you feel like it's not something that worked for you, fine. Like you learned from it and now you can find something else that does work for you. So
I am finding it so interesting chatting with you compared to other nail techs because there's so much similarity between the nail industry and the esthetician industry, and I'm sure so much overlap overall across the beauty industry, and so many things can apply to everybody.
Yeah, I think that we honestly need to stick together as all these industries because that's where we find similarities and we can help each other through these things too. I know there's a ton of estheticians in Utah and there's a ton of nail techs, but some of my best friends are estheticians who are specializing in the same exact thing. We almost have the same exact service menu. We carry the same exact products, but those are my best friends because we learn from each other. We help each other out. If I'm stuck on an acne client and I don't know what to do for their skin, I'm like, I feel like I've tried everything I could. There's a lot of estheticians of friends of mine that I could reach out to and that they could help me. So I think just knowing that there's a place for everybody in this industry and everybody needs to take care of their skin, right? I think at least everyone needs to be wearing sunscreen, and how many people are in Utah, there's definitely enough estheticians to go around for everybody. So there's a place for everyone, I think.
And clients are always going to vibe with somebody else.
Totally.
That is one thing that will keep clients from coming back to a service provider is we just didn't vibe, or we just couldn't have a conversation, or it just didn't feel right, or it was weird or whatever. And so there's different estheticians. There's so many different personalities out there to find the person that you want to go spend an hour or two with every few weeks.
Yes. And I think that it's important to know that if someone doesn't come back to you, that is okay, that maybe you just weren't their person, because I attract a ton of younger clientele. So my clientele is really, I do have some younger high schoolers that struggle with acne, but I would say my clientele is anywhere from like 18 to mid 30s. And that's just probably because of my personality, because of how I do things. I attract a younger clientele. Do you feel like you have a younger clientele too? Or do you feel like it's a mix?
I have such a mix of clientele. Yeah.
Which means you can connect with all ages in that clientele range. So that's really cool. So
yeah, it's fun. I was thinking about this recently because my personality kind of like changes throughout the day depending on who I'm sitting down with.
Yes.
And I started to wonder, like, am I weird for that? Is that like something like, do I have like multiple personalities? Like, but I think it's kind of a skill that you get to know how to adapt to getting to know certain people and just making sure that they feel comfortable.
Totally. Yes. And it's so fun bonding with clients. Like, I love all of my clients and I love hearing updates on their lives. And like you said, every client is going to be different. So how you kind of interact with that client is going to be different. Some clients are super quiet and they're moms and they like to take that time for themselves. And I know that, and that's okay. And then I have other clients that we don't even talk about skin really. I ask them about their skin in the beginning and then it's really just yapping for the hour on out, you know? So it's so fun. And I think that my favorite part is getting to take an hour to think about somebody else instead of me. I love that. So I'm not so focused on my own life. So I think that's a huge perk, is that building those connections with people that you wouldn't usually meet. I feel like I've met so many individuals that I would have never crossed paths with if it wasn't for the industry. And I think they're some of the most important people in my life.
Yeah. So. Overall, worth it. Best job ever.
Yes. Yes.
Totally highly recommend for estheticians who are going through school and wondering, like, can I make it out of this?
Yes.
Can I make it on my own?
Yes.
Do it.
Yes. Do it. Go in with confidence. Go in even if you're scared. Like I said, fear will not get us anywhere, right? So I think really just jumping in head first and making sure that you can contact people and ask people about their experience too, because I think even going out to lunch with different estheticians, it can save us a lot of time from things. Like, for example, if there's a chemical peel on the market, a new one that I haven't had much experience with, but I know somebody else has, I'll totally go out to lunch with them or like FaceTime them, even if they don't live in the same state as me, and get their advice on that peel, because I feel like that could save me a lot of time as a service provider because it's all from that connection. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your perspective and sharing with us. I'm so inspired by the way that you run your business. I've been such a grateful client to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
And tell everyone where they can find you if they need a skincare girly in Utah or if they just want to follow you.
Yeah. So I actually take virtual clients as well.
Oh my gosh.
A little self-plug. And so even leaning into that, like, there's so many things you can do with skin. Some people are just virtual. So you can take clients who don't even live in the same state as you. So I feel like this job truly does provide so much flexibility if you want to go in different avenues. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at bluesbeautybar.co. And that's my only form of social. Yeah, I'm not on TikTok, Facebook, anything like that. And then if you want to find me, you can go to bluesbeautybar.com.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Highly, highly, highly recommend,
Thank
Alyssa.
you.
You're the best.
Thank you. And Kylie for nails, obviously. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. This was so fun.
Thank
I'm
you.
honored. Yeah.
I love to chat with you always.
This
That's
is
us
so
at our
fun.
appointments.
Yes, we're the yapping. Yes, for the hour. Yes, totally.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Beauty Connective podcast. For more information about growing your business as a beauty professional, check us out at thebeautyconnective.com.